Hello and welcome back to a special midweek edition of Interjections. I'm your host Andrew, Miko, Jay, and Irfan with me. Jay, how you doing?
Yeah, really good. That was a intriguing match and a fantastic way to start off the new format Champions League. So very pleased with that result.
Irfan, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, definitely happy with the result. Still trying to figure out where Haaland is. Maybe in Cherby's pocket still.
Miko, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing great, doing great. Nothing to add. I think we are in a good spot now. So let's go.
I have to start by at least acknowledging the fact that there is, I can't say it definitively, but there is a chance we were a tad too negative heading into this match against City.
You think so?
I'm willing to entertain the possibility, Miko. The
Don't know what you're talking about.
Now, Jay, you were as optimistic as possible going into this match. The I don't want to make it sound like we outplayed City, because in my opinion, we did not. But we gave them our best shot in many ways. Like we kept the match competitive. There were ebbs and flows throughout the game. I thought early in the first half, City maybe had the better of us. We clawed back into it, and it really went back and forth. There were chances by both teams. There were until the last 10 minutes. I do not think there were a ton of clear cut chances. It was a lot of half chances. And then once we made some subs around the 80-minute mark, City really took control and they dominated the last 10 minutes. But we had our chances. And really, the last episode, we talked about the difference in quality of this City squad. You know, how much more money they spent constructing their squad than we did. And you saw a little bit of that in just the individual quality that we were missing at times. We put ourselves in the position. We pulled off good moves, but we just couldn't finish our chances. We couldn't get that last critical moment to get a lead. Of course, the Darmian back heel is the one everyone's talking about, but there was also a Mkhitaryan shot over the bar. Taram could not stay on side. There were windows that were open. We didn't play poorly by any means, but it just, you have to be happy with the 1 point. You do. But once again, just like the Champions League final in some ways, you wonder what if someone would have buried one of their chances. But overall, you have to be happy leaving Manchester with a point. We are now ahead of schedule from a Champions League perspective. Miko, as you look at this match, what surprised you? Like, what did we do well that maybe you weren't expecting that led to us getting a positive result?
Yeah, I think. Well, we defended well, but how would I say it? I think I predicted the draw, but deep down I thought that okay, I think we are going to concede no matter what, and that didn't happen. Maybe it was because City wasn't finishing their chances. I want to always talk about the stats, and they are, in this case, they are pretty brutal against us. And like we saw, like we saw in the match, that there were like Haaland got couple chances, and then in the end Gundogan had those great header chances as well. Then was it Foden had this one inside the box. So maybe those were their City's chances where you would expect maybe one of them at least goes in. But like you said, we had our chances as well, or at least, well, yeah, we had chances, and some of the attacks were dangerous, which ended up being not too dangerous. As for City, I don't think they had similar in a similar way. They built their chances, or then they just cycled the ball around our box, and we just happily defended there with not too much to worry about. And maybe the surprise was that we we indeed didn't concede a goal in this match. Uh, but I wanna give credit to this team and Inzaghi, that, and the credit I would give credit even to Conte, since from the Conte era, I think the team or the remaining players who were there were the Lautaro, Barella, Darmian, De Vrij. So those are from the Conte team, and I feel like Conte teach these guys that you have to be able to like suffer or play without the ball and not lose your mind, just defend and play comfortably without the ball. And Inzaghi, I think he has like continued that, and the team is calm and they are ready to play without the ball, even if in the league we mostly have more ball possession than the opponent, and we like control the game with the ball, but it's so nice and uh like how do I say it? It's so refreshing to see that we are able to defend like this whole 90 minutes in a way we did yesterday. Okay, Gundogan got those chances. I think those were the result of the poor tiredness and the lack of focus, because it was like 90 minutes when he got those chances. But besides that, we defended extremely well and organized throughout the whole match, and it's very rare occasion when City doesn't score a goal in a home match. So I have to give credit to the team and the coach. They prepared very well to this match and executed perfectly, almost perfectly. We didn't score a goal, but the main task was to keep the clean sheet, I think.
The most surprising thing in this match was probably a lineup decision. Well, two lineup decisions. One was that Lautaro started on the bench. Taremi took place of him in the lineup. I was okay with that. When you saw how poor Lautaro has been to start this year, I was good with saving him for the Milan derby, and Taremi was effective. I mean, he was more effective of the two starters. But the other big start-sit decision that caught us all off guard was Zielinski got his first career start for Inter, replacing Mkhitaryan in the starting lineup. Irfan, I know you are a vocal, I don't know what the phrase is, you're kind of done with Mkhitaryan. So what did you see from Zielinski's start? And yeah, just give me your thoughts on the Zielinski-Mkhitaryan situation.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was very nice to see Mkhitaryan benched. This whole season, he hasn't played well at all. He's been really irritating me as a fan watching him. It's very frustrating to see. And it's one of the pet peeves I have with Inzaghi too, which is that for some reason he just can't help but play Mkhitaryan 90 minutes. And I think finally he's starting to realize that it's just not tenable. So it was very nice to see Zielinski start. And I thought, one of the biggest surprises of that match was how well our midfield played. I think Hakan did a lot of work helping the defense. I think Barella did a lot of work, like triggering any attack we had and connecting with the forwards. And I think Zielinski played really well. It really didn't seem like there was much of a drop off in our midfield play because he was in there. In fact, I feel like we played better because Zielinski was in there. So I like the balance. I like the approach. I like the patience. They were opportunistic, I think, but they definitely didn't leave much space for Manchester City to attack. And I think the midfield did a really, really good job of being the spine and the backbone for the entire team. So while I was very happy with our defense, I think the defense played really well and, really limited City's chances. I think that the midfield was probably the MVP of the match, how well they played. And, there's not a lot of teams that can go in to Manchester City Stadium and, kind of control the midfield as effectively, I think, as we did. Now, again, with you, Andrew, I agree. I don't think we necessarily were the better team throughout, but I think there was like a nice punch and counter punch going on throughout the match. And I think a lot of that credit goes to the midfield and including Zielinski. So it was nice to see that rotation. And I just kept thinking to myself watching this match, I was like, if we had an inform Lautaro and if we had DeMarco, I think we could have won this match. And I think we could have won this match fairly handily, to be honest. I think we left a lot on the table without an informed Lautaro.
Jay, what are your thoughts on the match? Were you surprised, happy, disappointed, just given the flow of having chances yet not converting them? And just to add a stat here for Irfan's point, City led X goals for this match. I'm seeing about 2 for City and 0.6 for Inter, which I think that aligns with what we saw on the pitch in terms of City having higher quality chances, but us defending well.
I think all the aforementioned points are quite agreeable. The notion that City had the higher quality chances, you'd have to agree. You'd have to say Gundogan's 2 headers were probably higher XG, so to speak, than Mkhitaryan's chance or Thuram's half chances or Damian's kind of aborted chance doing his best Guti Hernandez Taconazzo impersonation. Having said that, before the match I said if Man City show up, then we don't have much say in it. And the argument will be that we kind of didn't let them play well. And I think both things are kind of true at the same time. I think they didn't play well until they kind of really got into their groove quite late. And that's when we started seeing those chances that Foden Chads created in the box in really tight space. They managed to string together a couple of nice passes, and Foden was open, like literally near the penalty spot, and had a free shot at Sommer. Thankfully, it was on his weaker foot. And those Gundogan chances, if it was us who spurned that Gundogan header, we'd be kicking ourselves. So definitely think City had the better chances. Perhaps we got a bit lucky in that sense. That Gundogan, headed it right at Sommer instead of any side of him. But yeah, I really think that we earned that luck through the way we played in the first 75 to 80 minutes. And I have pretty much uniform or across the board praise for nearly all our players, or all our players. I guess some were not as good as others, but by and large, I felt like everyone was quite strong. And you go from the top, like I thought Taremi was impressive in his fitness. Like he didn't seem to tire. He was closing down. He was playing the target man role quite well, and he was like a roaming target man in the fact that he wasn't just glued to the middle of the pitch like a Dzeko, like a tired Dzeko, but like he was roaming around and being an avenue to start counterattacks and to lay the ball off for runners and things like this. That's how Carlos Augusto got his shot on goal. The thing that impressed me most about Taremi was his poise and his calmness. I've frequently kind of criticized Lautaro for being exactly as his nickname suggests, very bullish, just kind of sees red, head down, and just charges. Whereas I thought Taremi showed a lot of veteran composure, and it felt like, I don't know, I had this weird kind of feeling that his ability to stay so unfatigued during the game was kind of down to his experience and his ability to mentally stay on top of the task as well as physically pace himself. So that was quite impressive. Thuram, I thought, was probably one of the weaker players, although he was quite involved in the first, 30, 40 minutes. I thought he was playing it a bit too fast and loose. As he mentioned, he had a hard time staying on side, and whatever shots he did have were not very good. But having said that, I still think it was an overall positive performance, 6 out of 10 kind of thing, maybe 5.5 for being really scrutinizing. I thought Zielinski was excellent, and I thought if he plays the way he did today, then by all rights, he should permanently take Mkhitaryan's spot. We've spoken, especially myself, given Mkhitaryan a lot of praise in the past, mainly for 2 kind of utilities that he provides the team, and one is his ability to run with the ball. He'll pick the ball up near the halfway line and just kind of charge forward. And he's still, despite his age, still fairly sprightly, still fairly, I wouldn't call him fast, but he's not slow. He's above average in speed. So that's in my opinion, one of Mkhitaryan's 2 useful traits. And the other is his ability to kind of link up, keep possession cycled between himself and DiMarco and Bastoni on that left flank. Despite those positives that Mkhitaryan provides, it's always just been lacking just that little bit. It's always like, oh, that was a great run. If only he made a killer pass or took a shot on target, but he never did. His shots were always very just poor, just very weak, and he didn't often try to make that incisive final ball. Not that Zielinski did that today, but we know from simply watching him in Serie A for the past 7-8 years that he is the kind of guy who does exactly that. So if Zielinski can play at that performance level or anything near that, then realistically, he should be outright displacing Mkhitaryan. I'll just end on, Barella won the man of the match. I don't know if I agree with that. I think I probably would have given it to Bastoni, but regardless, just a word on the defenders. I thought they were all really, really disciplined today. They won a lot of these neat little kind of nippy tackles where they just stuck in a toe and just nudged the ball out of an attacker's stride, or just got it away from Haaland's feet or whatever it might be, and they did so without fouling. By and large, they did so with a lot of precision and a lot of calmness, and the way we playing the ball out for the back was extremely impressive to do so, against a team like Man City. I think one criticism I might have was the out ball was often a bit lacking, namely from, I felt Sommer's distribution was pretty poor, and we did kind of give away the ball numerous times in like our own third. So obviously that could have been improved, but it's one of those games where the team really rose to the occasion, which is something that I've always been kind of crying out for. Meet the occasion head on and kind of be a man and play the game, take the game to the opponent, kind of thing. And I felt we did that. And not only did we walk away having matched or gone kind of blow for blow with one of the top 5 strongest teams in the world, we did so with quite a rotated side. Taremi is not a starter. Zielinski is not a starter. Augusto is not a starter. Bisek is not a starter. Darmian/Dumfries are kind of both starters. So I won't count him, but that's like 4 players that are not first team or first choice players that came into the starting lineup, and to do so well with those guys was, for me, the most pleasing thing. And now critically, not to get ahead of ourselves or myself, but critically now we take this momentum into the derby, and that's arguably just as important as the point gained for me. Being able to go into the derby with our heads held high, with the motivation and the enthusiasm from what was a universally kind of, or uniformly praised performance. There's not a single media outlet out there saying, "Oh, Inter, park the bus and whatever." Yeah, we defended deep and defended with numbers, but the narrative has been that we frustrated City and that we defended extremely astutely. So the team can take all the performances from that and hopefully destroy Milan, who themselves came off a stark contrast of a game against similar opposition.
And now, if you wanna add to this media angle, all the pundits will be explaining to everyone how Inzaghi's rotation works, rotation in terms of the players on the pitch, how they move there when the defenders are like closer to the half line than Zielinski and Barella, and how we cycle the ball like very deep in our own end, and how we come through the press of City. Like City's press is very heavy, and we just we were able to go through that numerous times, and I think that was very impressive. And now the world sees how Inzaghi's system really works. I think that was very, very nice to see. We were able to do that.
There was a moment when a Cherby made a streaking run towards the box. I can't remember.
Yeah.
They might have been Barella with the ball on the right flank, and a Cherby comes sprinting in. I was like, oh dear God, like this is not going to end well.
Yeah.
Well, I think we covered the City match pretty well. This new Champions League format is weird. Like normally this would be a critical result, and I don't want to say, this would have guaranteed us advancing out of the group. Now it's just kind of a shrug the shoulders and see what happens next. The commentators on the stream I was watching made the comment that this it felt like a quarterfinal of a Champions League knockout stage. It didn't feel like the first game in the new format of the Champions League. So hard to come down from this emotional high, but you don't have a choice with Milan waiting in the wings. Jay summarized it nicely. Milan did not show up to a game against Liverpool the day before ours. They scored an early goal and then just proceeded to get dominated for the next 80 minutes or so, losing 3-1. So 2 completely different styles and contrasts heading into this match. You have Milan coming off a bad European loss where they knew the match was over with 20 minutes to go. And then you had us who were fighting to the death for 90 exhausting minutes. And now we need to bounce back on a shorter turnaround and be ready for this derby. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I think I posed this question to you guys a few weeks ago, and it was, if Fonseca loses this derby, is he going to be sacked? And you were all unanimous in saying no, but I have to acknowledge that there are a lot more grumblings in the Italian press right now about Sarri and Allegri and some other managers Milan might be interested in if they lose this match, because I think the bottom is starting to fall out. We're taking an opponent who's down. We're taking an opponent who, on top of the psychology of them having lost 6 matches in a row to their inner city rival, they're in horrible form across all competitions. They don't believe in their new manager. Like, we have a prime opportunity here to really pile on. When you think about start-sit decisions, because we rotated so heavily against City, we're going to be able to put out a mostly full-strength lineup, I'd say. We'll see if Inzaghi gives Dumfries his first start of the season against his friend Teo. Hopefully Lautaro is back in the starting lineup. The real big question for me is DeMarco fit? Is DeMarco even available to come off the bench? Because Augusto was one of the poorer starters against City, in my opinion, and he had a lot of responsibility. I mean, he was in a tough spot. We didn't ask him to roam forward nearly as much. It was Darmian making most of the runs / using the right side. Augusto
I thought it was fine.
involved.
I thought it was involved.
I don't think he was bad. I don't want to say he was bad, but it's such a startling contrast between what DeMarco offers versus Augusto. DeMarco is so essential to all of our attacking build-up play. So when you go to Augusto, you play differently, and it's a bit more forgettable. Is that fair?
I think so. And it might have been somewhat of a blessing in disguise that, it's never a good thing that a player's injured, obviously, but, we may have been forced to play with Augusto due to DeMarco's injury, and the trade-off for the lack of speed and killer left foot that DeMarco has and all that kind of thing was defensive solidity. I remember a phase in the second half where Augusto blocked he conceded 3 or 4 corners in a row or something, but he just kept blocking the attempts from Doku and whoever was on the right flank to try and get the cross in, from Salvio. Not Salvio, what's that guy's name? I don't know, the kid wearing number 26 who started the game. Augusto, I felt, kept him fairly quiet for the most part. And then, like I said, when Doku came on, he did a good job on Doku as well. So the defensive solidity, we sacrificed DeMarco's attacking quality for Augusto's defensive quality. And in this instance, it was really rewarded, I feel. So I get what you're saying, though. It'd be good if he's fit against Milan, but given the way Augusto played, DeMarco doesn't feel like as big as a loss as he would have normally, if that makes sense.
I take exception with you saying DeMarco is faster, because I am almost certain he's not.
His little legs, move fast, and the light reflects off that, exposed dome.
Well, they both have exposed domes.
That's actually true for Carlos Augusto as well.
But anyway, DeMarco's the only real start-sit decision I'm curious on for this match. Is he fit? Is he available? I guarantee you all Mkhitaryan's going to be in the starting lineup for this match. There's no doubt in my mind.
That is unfortunate, but I agree.
Yeah, there's no way about it. So, you're the resident Milan expert. You're the Milan fan. Please walk us through what your boys are walking into this weekend.
Time to come down to earth, boys. No, not really. I don't actually know. I mean, on one hand, I think it'd be ludicrous to sack Fonseca this early, not because I'm playing like the double agent kind of thing, but I just, 4 games, 5 games it's just not enough time, unless you're talking like he lost all 5 games by a margin of 3-0. I agree with what you said earlier about like the players and the locker room and that kind of thing. Fonseca is playing for his job, but other players got to play for Fonseca's job, and I doubt it. It's probably just hasn't been long enough for them to develop any rapport for him. And I really want us to seize this chance to really inflict some pain upon them. As mentioned, we're coming off the high of a extremely respectable performance, and they're coming off the disappointment of a of a disappointing performance. On top of that, I believe both Magnan and Sportiello are injured, so they're going to be playing with their third choice keeper who's like 18 years old or something. So I mean, that's a great chance for us to get some goals, is it not? So hopefully we can inflict some pain. And if you watch the highlights, or at least the goals from the Milan game, two of the goals they conceded were just shit. These like corners that were quite close to the keeper, and Magnan kind of didn't know whether to go out for the ball or to stay back, and the defenders were just not in the positions they needed to be, and they just considered really kind of just cheap headers from set pieces. So historically we've got quite a good record from set pieces. So put the two and two together, I'm really hoping that we can exploit that.
And especially against Milan, we've been pretty good with the set pieces.
Yeah.
Irfan, what do you think heading into this match? How confident are you?
I'm pretty confident. I do think some of the current form that Milan's in and the current form that we're in can be tossed out the window. I mean, it is a derby. You never know what's going to happen. It'll be cagey for sure. We know Theo's going to be up for it. Hopefully, we do start Dumfries as the perfect kind of foil for Theo. But I think not having Magic Mike is gonna probably be a pretty decisive factor, like Jay mentioned. And given our rotation, I think we should have fresh legs enough to get the job done. I'd be curious to see kind of how we start off the match, because that'll give me a good sense of what our strategy is. On the one hand, I feel like we should come out of the gate, kind of storm them and take the match right to them. But I also could see us kind of sit back initially and kind of gauge what's going on and kind of let them shoot themselves in the foot. But again, it's Milan. It's a derby. They have some tricky players. They have some good players. We got to take it pretty seriously, and I think we will. But I expect a win, and I expect a good performance. And as much as I don't like Mkhitaryan starting, when he does play against Milan, he does play pretty well. So hopefully he'll be up for it again. And hopefully we deliver a good product. But man, I really, really want to see Lautaro just get into some kind of form. I mean, the longer he goes, just looking kind of labored out there and not scoring any goals for us, the worse off we are. Because, I think Thuram has been at a hot start to start the season, which has helped us, but he's also not entirely consistent. And I didn't like his performance against Man City at all. Like, yes, he was involved, but his decision making was way off. He was rushed everywhere. Just didn't really seem like a great kind of. It didn't seem like he was in a great headspace, and so maybe he's trying to do too much or whatever it is. But we need Lautaro back ultimately. Like he's our captain. He's our goal scorer. If there was ever a match for him to kind of drop out of his slump, this is the time. So I'm looking for a good performance from him. Whether DeMarco's available or not, I'm not that concerned, because, like I said in the last match, I think there's two main offensive catalysts that we have. One is the DeMarco and Bastoni connection, and the other is the Hakan and Barella connection. And I think as long as Hakan and Barella are out there, we should be okay, even if DeMarco isn't starting and we have Augusto and Bastoni. So again, I expect good things. I'm excited for the match, but we should go out there and put another commanding performance in, like we've been doing in the last few derbies.
For what it's worth, although he only played 25, 30 minutes, I thought today was probably Lautaro's best performance of the season so far. Hopefully that's a sign that he's kind of getting his act together and kind of playing himself back into form. But I wouldn't be upset to see Taremi start again. I know that I'm probably jumping to conclusions based off literally one really strong game, but the fundamentals, like I said, were just really, really good from Taremi. The positioning, the kind of calmness, the intelligence, the sensibility was all impressive. So, if he can replicate at least those core fundamentals, then I don't have a problem with him starting again. But yeah, obviously it'd be great to have Lautaro back and up and firing.
Yeah, I actually agree on you that why not just start Taremi if Lautaro is still not like 100% okay well, we don't know if he's okay or not, but if he's not, like don't force it like it looked like against Monza, as we spoke earlier. So I'm fine if Taremi starts again, but I expect that Lautaro will be there. But I also expect that he really understands that if he's ready, he's gonna go there. But if he's not ready, like don't push it for yourself. That stay on the bench and don't try to be too eager if you're not like ready yet. I think it was nice to see Taremi starting against City, even if it was a so-called big match and everything at the start of the Champions League campaign, and Lautaro was staying on the bench. I think that shows that. I mean, we talked in the previous episode about Lautaro and him. I don't know, forcing himself to the starting lineup. I don't know what's the truth in here, but I want to see from now on that Lautaro doesn't do that anymore. He's that don't force yourself anywhere. Just go how it really feels, and yeah, but yeah, I want to comment on Augusto that now he's been playing 2 matches. Did he play 90 minutes against Monza as well? I think he did. Bastoni wasn't playing there, so yeah, he played 90 minutes. He played 90 minutes yesterday. So there's a lot of football for him if DiMarco is not ready. Luckily, there's no midweek match next week, so maybe he manages that, or then there's some kind of rotation. Hopefully, not Darmian on the left later in the match, but let's see. Uh, I think what Irfan said that we're not gonna go like all over the place at the start. We're gonna look a bit and how it's gonna evolve. Milan scored the goal against Liverpool because there was some space on Liverpool's end, and Pulisic used that well. And Morata he's pretty smart player, not too efficient, but in terms of goal scoring always. But he's a smart player who I think he was the one who assisted the goal, if I remember correctly. He came a bit towards the ball and passed it to Pulisic, and he's doing these kind of moves, and he's pretty smart. So we need to be ready for that, and just not give too much space to, well, of course, Leao and Pulisic and the guys. But yeah, I don't see too much trouble for us in this match. We are so high in confidence now that there's Barella, Çalhanoğlu, all the guys are back. We should be able to handle this match, and I would want to even say that maybe we can pull some 1-0, 2-0, barely 2-0 score, so that Fonseca won't get sacked. That would be like best for everyone except Milan fans. So, but I I'm totally seeing that Fonseca will be out after this match when we win it.
I'm curious to see what we do tactically in this game. The stereotype, the prevailing thought under the Pioli era was that Inzaghi always sat back and countered Milan. I think we've dove into that theory on previous episodes and said maybe it wasn't as true as it was being portrayed, but regardless, we did tend to sit a little deeper against this Milan team. So what do we do this weekend? Do we take a similar approach? Does Fonseca try and play differently to force a unique response from us? I am curious to see what happens there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think one of the things that I'm looking forward to is just, again, the individual battles that always come up when we face Milan. So, Leao versus our defense, and the Theo versus Dumfries battle is always really good to watch, and so that'll always be exciting, and it'll be good to see. I suspect both teams will kind of feel each other out in the beginning, and then see kind of what happens and go from there. So it'll be an interesting match. It'll be a fun match, like the derbies always are. One thing I wanted to quickly talk about though is like, do we feel like we have a little bit of a starting spot controversy with Bissek versus Pavard? I mean, we mentioned him briefly, but man, Bissek played amazing against Man City. I thought. I mean, he played a very mature performance, disciplined, well beyond his years, and I really worry that after that performance we put in against Manchester City, which definitely will get looked at, I think, by EPL teams, that we might be in line for some monster offers coming in for both Bastoni and for Bissek. So I don't know. I mean, Pavard played fine when he came in as a sub, but Bissek, every time he gets an opportunity, he plays really, really well. Like it's really hard for me to definitively say, and this is someone who's a huge Pavard fan, it's really hard for me to say that like he doesn't deserve to kind of retain that spot going forward, at least for a while.
I think Inzaghi is going to rotate them, like maybe even 50-50 split. That's I can totally see that happening. And as for the offer, I remember there was already some offers. I don't know, was it this summer or winter? I remember seeing that there would have been some kind of offer for Bisek. But yeah, I can totally see that if Bisek keeps playing and he keeps playing like he's been doing now, yeah, that's a concern in a sense that his salary is probably low, so he's gonna get a nice raise with that offer. So yeah, it's a concern that if our overlords, American overlords, will force a sale, then since if like if Bisek is getting this big offer, we would need to raise his salary or we sell him. So there's a concern for sure.
Yeah, if we sell someone, we're going to be required to buy a 23-year-old none of us have ever heard of. So let's hope that does not happen. Do you guys think we're getting complacent because of our successes against Milan? And while we dominated the Pioli-based teams, over the past couple calendar years, like this is a different Milan team. They have new players. Giroud is gone. Morata's here. Tammy Abraham's here. But do you think our players are going to be complacent knowing they've dominated this team so much and Milan are in down form? Or do you think it's a derby, it's a rivalry, all that goes out the window? What do you think, Jay?
It's a good question. There's always a chance for complacency. I think that we're still not 100% despite the performance at Man City. Last season so much was made of our resilience and focus, and that we never conceded a goal in the last 15 minutes of a game, and that went all the way through to I don't know, match day 27 or whatever it was. Anyway, the point was we kept that impressive streak for so long. This season we've already dropped points, conceded late goals against pretty shit teams, so it's clear that we're not 100% there yet. And to me, that's a bigger concern than the complacency. But I do absolutely see where you're coming from. Well, as we all touched on, Milan are in bad form right now. There's a lot of turmoil at the club. You got Zlatan making ludicrous statements. He said something like, "When the lion is away, the kittens come home, and I am the boss, and I work in silence," or some bullshit. He's having some live on air argument with fucking Zvonimir Boban and things like this. So, shit's a bit wild right now. So it's easy to underestimate Milan, but as we've seen many times, they've got players who can do things on their own, and one breakaway from a Leao can cause havoc, and whatever it might be. So you never know. But realistically, I think the derby is ours to lose. Just to touch upon how we should approach the game, kind of go out and dominate from the first minute, or sit back and play it safe and try to hit them on the counter. I don't really care. I think we have a style of playing, and we kind of adapt that style to whatever pressures come at us, And so, I don't think Milan are going to come out the blocks super fast and try and rush us. So I'm not really overly worried about that. I think we'll just go out and do our thing and try to play our game, and we'll adapt accordingly. Or I hope we adapt accordingly to whatever level of intensity that Milan bring. If they bring it really hard, if they go out all guns blazing trying to hurt us, then yeah, we should adapt to it and sit back and try to hit them on the counter. And if they do the opposite and sit back a little bit, then we should just try and find holes to exploit. But I think ultimately, how we play is generally always the same. It just depends on the level of threat we face.
Yeah, I will say on the complacency question, it's a great ask because it is a derby, it is our rival, but they're not exactly our rival right now, right? I mean, they haven't been really that good. Like, we've dominated them. I don't really consider them to be our rival for the Scudetto. I mean, while we're playing this match, if you look at the table, you have Napoli, and then you also have another team with a pretty, illustrious record and playing really well right now, that we should keep our eye on and not let them kind of, continue to get ahead of us. I'm talking, of course, of Udinese, so we got to keep an eye on them. And then there might be some other team up there too. So we should keep our eyes kind of on the table as well. And ultimately, it's still a question of getting 3 points versus, 1 point or 0 points. So I'm hoping that, the complacency is kind of sidetracked by the fact that, like, we're not necessarily sitting there in first place with a massive lead and playing super confidently. Like, it's not like in the league we've come off to like a crazy start.
All right, Miko, give me your prediction.
I'm gonna go with. What am I gonna go with?
He's gonna say 2-0.
2-0, yeah, that's boring, but let's go with the boring one. Yeah, 2-0. And now Lautaro is gonna get his goal finally, and the other one will go to Zielinski. He's gonna score his first one.
Jay?
I'm gonna say 1-0. A backheel goal from Damian.
Seems highly likely. Irfan?
I'm gonna go 2-1. I'm going to give him a goal. And I think our goal scorers are going to be Lautaro and Dumfries. And for them, I'll give them a Leao goal. Give them something to work with.
I'll take the blowout. Give me a 3-0. Just have not seen anything from Milan that suggests they're capable of putting up a fight. I hope I'm not proven wrong. We should firmly win this match. Give me goals from Lautaro getting off the schneid, Mkhitaryan, since he's good for 1 goal a year against Milan, and throw in let's give one to Augusto.
Thuram has scored both games against Milan, so
that's an excellent point as well. He's played great against them.
Complacency claim 100% applies to this podcast as well, at least.
Well, when Jay's predicting an Inter win, you have problems.
You gotta get on board with this shit.
On that note, Jay's hot betting tips to conclude.
I mean, by the time this episode goes out, the result will be, or the game will be played, but I'm betting 3-0 victory for Arsenal over Atalanta, I'm afraid, as much as it hurts me to do so.
That would be disappointing, but if you're telling me Retegui is going to fail to score against a good opponent, I would not be surprised.
What a hater.
Forever.
At least he's awake.
Scamacca forever, baby.
At least he's awake on the pitch. Unlike your boy.
Hey, my guy's sleeping in a hospital bed.
At least he has cruciate ligaments.
Are we talking about Zaniolo or Scamacca? I'm not even sure at this point.
Between the two of them, they have one functional knee. Yeah.
Gasparini has a type. All right, we'll wrap up there. We'll be back with a Milan Derby recap on Monday. We'll catch you all then.
All right, see ya.
Yes,
Catch you later.